Welcome to Rosh Hashanah. It's a new year. Today starts 10 days of penitence leading up to Yom Kippur. We have astronomical events occurring, solar flares, huge ones. People in the eastern states that are going through some difficult times, some flooding over areas that I support as a heartland model of the Book of Mormon. They're facing some of the same similar events that we witness in the Book of Mormon. One thing that I'm reminded of is that when Christ came, it was when these Nephites had found joy despite the tribulation. And so during this time leading up to conference, during these 10 days of penitence, one thing they do on Yom Kippur is dip their apples in honey. And so that's what I have right here. And I picked apples. I have a few apple trees here. So I had my ladder out and got some of the apples from the very tip top. And here we are. Very sweet. Very sweet. Now, the Israelites would not have been doing this during the Exodus. I believe this is a tradition that picked up around the 14th century. But, boy, is that sweet. Apple is perfect. The honey, just so much. So during these 10 days of penitence, I've even reached out to somebody who he and I butt heads. We worked in a political sphere for the GOP of Idaho. This person, I do not trust him. I believe what he thinks he's doing what is right. And my opinion, his aspirations have kind of blinded him to the collateral effect and poor decision making and judgment that's been brought down upon people, and the manipulation. He's using stratagem. But I reached out to him and apologized for our last interaction. When I saw him, I didn't hold back. I just said, look, let me tell you all the reasons why I don't trust you. And I did it publicly, and it was not Christ-like. So that was a long time ago, but I've reached out to him yesterday to make peace, and we've made peace. So I'm trying to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And enjoying some time out here. Kids are inside doing some school. And picking up pumpkins. These are pumpkins we grew. Excited to start carving, maybe make something from some of these. They're kind of small for carving pumpkins, so maybe we'll just make some pumpkin pie or pumpkin bread. I also have some saffron bulbs that are sprouting finally, so I'm getting excited for all the saffron I'm hoping to collect. Collected a ton of dill. I have tons of dill, tons of sage, tons of kale. Unfortunately, frost came the other night and took out my peppers and my tomatoes. My corn, however, I'm drying out some corn right now, so I have seeds for planting next year. But all my corn has gone yellow. The stalks are all browned, and they didn't get too big this year. The frost came in early in and knocked out a bunch of my corn, but also stunted the growth. But these will I'm going to cut them and tie them together, and we're going to decorate for fall with it. So I'm very excited. This is my favorite time of year. There's many astronomical events going on right now. I got up the other morning to see if I could see a comet passing by. It was supposed to be right next to the moon. I saw a dot I'm not sure if it was the comet. I know that there's a couple more, or one more comet later this month that we're gonna try and see. But here, got golden apples, red apples, and then pink apples. So, very excited for fall. Excited for this time of year. Yom Kippur coming up. We have Rosh Hashanah right now. Thing is, I've said this before, is I believe we see this play out with Tu B'Av and Tisha B'Av, all in the Book of Mormon. And it's all during that time of King Noah and his priests. The fall of King Noah and his priests, and Alma, the elder, taking believers away. They go to a place, to the Waters of Mormon. It's already named Waters of Mormon. Mormon meaning more good. And more good reminds me of the creation of man. That on the previous days, those creations were good, but when he created Adam, that was very good. So to me, that kind of is very close to more good. Very good. And so it reminded me of a creation for man, specifically a restoration. And here we see Alma dip himself into the water along with another when he baptizes him. And this traditionally is also a ritualistic washing, cleansing for Jewish priests. I imagine these traditions carried on, especially since we hear them quoting the law of Moses when Abraham comes and says, "Why don't you teach the law of Moses?" You say, "Believe it, but why don't you teach it?" So they still have a very strong aspect of those Israelite teachings. And Alma would have had the priesthood because it had been given to him by the laying on of hands through a unbroken chain. Right, this is where the writing of on the temple wall was done in this Nephite temple, and it's that same temple that falls. This is similar to Tisha B'Av. And that's the destruction of the first and second temple in Israel. So I find it fascinating that happens at the same time. And then you have, just shortly after that, the priests of Noah go down into a valley and take in the daughters of the Lamanites, 24 of them. And I would suspect that this would be Tu B'Av, because that's the chronology in the same context of time that is passing, in my opinion. And it's where Tu B'Av is known in Israel for taking one tribe and intermarrying with another tribe. So I find it funny that they're living these events. And it goes to Tisha B'Av, a new beginning, a new year, a day of atonement, or Rosh Hashanah. And they have all that time in the Waters of Mormon, in that thicket of trees. Is it 10 days? 10 days of penitence and baptisms? It seems like it to me, in my opinion. But it's fascinating how we see the scriptures play out in real life. Ordinances and holidays, things like that play out. The birth of Christ. We have Christ coming in on a donkey. He is both the high priest and the sacrifice. This was only a tradition beforehand until it actually happened without these high priests even recognizing it. Caiaphas had no idea what he was doing. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And it's my opinion that the things that happen in the temple, the things that happen throughout our lives, we're having our own individual temple journeys. The earth is on its own temple journey. The church is on its own temple journey. where these events that are holidays both are shadows and patterns for the future. Shadows of the past and patterns for the future. So in my opinion, those events with Alma would run parallel to this time frame, especially because this is when the Lamanites are coming to attack the Nephites. It would have been in the fall, which is harvest time. So this is when they come in and try to steal from the harvest. Also, dancing out into the field. The Lamanite daughters dancing in the field. Still, it's a fall tradition. So, I've talked about it before. I didn't even plan on talking about this. I just planned on eating an apple and walking away. But this, to me, is a very significant time. I think this Rosh Hashanah, this Yom Kippur, this General Conference, everything is unlike it's been in the past. It's different now. It's not same old, same old. Though many are eating and drinking and giving in marriage, same as if it is same old, same old. But those who have eyes to see recognize where we are. So this is fascinating. Love you all. Happy Rosh Hashanah.